So it's like I feel like it's changed and opened up so many doors that we didn't have before. Like I've seen YouTube people actually create entire websites dedicated to selling their music online at very expensive prices too. Like so it's like it's possible, if you know how to create a website and if you know how to set up an automatic payment system, you can basically sell digital products and like of almost anything. Like we've talked about NFTs.
Welcome back to the Out of the Box podcast, where Steele and I, your hosts, get to talk about outside the box ideas. Today, we're going to be talking about different ways to make passive income, or just in general, how you can set up different ways to make money online. And before we actually get started, this is a channel that is really focused on developing ideas, talking about ideas that are outside of the box. So we try to bring in guests and try to talk about topics that usually are not really thought out or developed, and we try to break them down here in the channel. So if that sounds like something you would like to continue enjoying content about, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and also leave a like and a comment about what you enjoyed today. So without further ado, Steele, I know you had brought up this idea of how to create just passive income or money online. And honestly, there's just so many ways. There's so many ways to do that.
Yeah,
Um, I
once you realize it, it's like blows your mind, and you're like, wow,
yeah,
you know, like what have I been
yeah,
doing?
it's pretty crazy. Like, because we live in an era where like we're coming away from like regular trade jobs. Like I know that was like the the heart and the center of like the middle class, right? When
Right?
like in the previous years. Um, but now we're transitioning into this world of like making money online, where people could be on YouTube talking
Right.
about peanut butter and
For
make
the first time,
$50,000 a year.
yeah, for the first time ever, it's like each person is their own creator. It's like back then, you
Yeah,
had to get on the television network to make money, but now you can technically create your own TV channels online on YouTube. It's crazy. Like when you take a step back from it and look at it like that, it's like, whoa, like it's like everyone's their own TV producer in a way. And as
yeah,
long as you have a good idea, like you don't need money really. As long as you have your idea is good enough and people like it and it goes viral, that's all you need. And then before you know it, like you said, people on YouTube are making like thousands or millions of dollars a year. And then they turn their careers to that and they start focusing on it. And then they can use that money to improve their production and make even more off YouTube. So it's pretty
yeah,
wild when you really think about it. Like,
yeah. It really showcases the, like you said, the person as a creator, right? Whether that be music, whether that be funny videos, whether that be just like storytelling, or just teaching people how to do something. I think this is opening up the the ideas to even teachers. Like they've been, I think especially right now, it's just I see a lot of friends who have become teachers, and it's a really tough job, a trade. And so a lot of people are transitioning into teaching, but online.
wow.
And that's like a crazy thing that you can make that into a career right now with Skillshare and just like different
Yeah, there's
platforms
so
that
many
that
opportunities.
host.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I think. And I know the pandemic kind of opened everyone's eyes up, I think, to like a lot of virtual online remote jobs. And remote jobs have been around, and but then like you said, like there's platforms too. So like there's platforms, websites that are designed specifically to give you paid jobs online. So but they come in so many different shapes and sizes, like there's the teaching ones that you mentioned. I know there's online counseling jobs where that just focus on that. And then like there's a lot of writing gigs. There's of course the video companies like YouTube or rumble.com that pay, like they pay you through the advertisements on your videos basically. Um that's just a handful of stuff, like of course you can sell things online. That's another way to make money. Um but like Shutterstock, for example, I've been on Shutterstock for a few years and I've made some money off it, but it's just a very slow process. So like selling stock photos, selling stock videos, selling music or audio or sound effects, you can do that online too. So it's like I feel like it's changed and opened up so many doors that we didn't have before. Like I've seen YouTube people actually create entire websites dedicated to selling their music online at very expensive prices too. Like so it's like it's possible, you know, if you know how to create a website and if you know how to set up an automatic payment system, you can basically sell digital products and like of almost anything. Like we've talked about NFTs, you know, so and that's a
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's just opening up the perspective of what you can do and what you can sell because, you know, and I think it's also adding the idea of like scalability because before you could teach a class, you could do something to a certain group of people and perhaps based on the amount of people that came to that event or to that um, class, that was the amount of donations that you got. You got 10 people come, $5 donations, and you got $50, right? But now with the scalability of putting a video and anyone can access that video, um, means that the the sky is the limit, honestly,
yeah.
with what is possible, and that's why you get these extraordinary numbers of what people are able to make off of a video, um,
Yeah. And that
because
kind of,
it's the whole world, right? You
I
you
think
you think about it.
that's true, and I think that dives into, like, passive income, you know, because like, people so most people make active income at a job, right, a day-to-day job that's, like so active income is, like, income that you get from continued work, so you have to keep working to keep earning money, but passive income, you keep making that money even after you've already done the work, so, like, selling stock, like, stock photos or videos or audio or music, you keep making money off the royalties of people that keep buying the same song or video in the future. And you could potentially make money off royalties from that for the rest of your life. So passive income. So imagine this, if you created multiple sources of passive income, like let's say you set up like a whole bunch of videos that you're selling and then pictures and then music. And then on top of that, you're selling like free online courses. I mean, that's like four different sources of income you can make for the rest of your life. So imagine that. I mean, so, I mean, and YouTube is kinda like that too, because once you make the video, you do all the work, but then it's done, you don't have to work again, and you can still make money off of it in the future. So, like, to me, that's a really great strategy, like, if you wanted to build up a lot of money, if you could set up multiple sources of passive income, and then that would be a great strategy on top of your active income job.
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy, like that people have the availability to do that because I see I as I as I work as a balloon artist, I start to see how kids, they don't watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube. Like shows are on YouTube and there's different characters that they ask me to make out of balloons and it's just like a character they saw on YouTube and I'm thinking like, wow, this is the potential that you know like independent producers have been able to do.
You couldn't do
I
that
think
before.
even like the song Baby Shark it became like super mainstream and it was off of a YouTube video, right? And so if that person did not have like, for example, like radio people that they knew or stuff like that, connections with Disney or before, they wouldn't have been able to make such a massive impact. But now with just the the capacity of someone being able to create a song and
Yeah,
make it viral.
like, everyone's their own producer almost now, you know? Like, you don't have to go
Yeah.
through anyone. You can just do it yourself as long as you have a camera.
hmm yeah,
Hey,
the production value has gone, like the production costs have gone down because now with our phone we can record anywhere. I mean, I'm recording this podcast right now on my phone,
yeah,
and
technology
so
is so advanced that yeah, it's a lot easier now than it was. Cheaper too. Yeah, definitely, man. It definitely makes you think, you know? Because like if anyone can do that and anyone can be their own producer, like do you run out of like spots? Do you run out of room, you know? Because they're
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think you run out of room because there's always content for everyone. And that's, I think, the beauty about people being content creators is that, you know, let's say you've always wanted a rapper that, sings and, does like country music, right? And so you've never heard it, but you've always wanted to find someone. And now with the internet, you find people that are doing stuff like that, or combining different things, making something very unique that perhaps not everyone's going to enjoy it, but the few people that they're trying to reach, like that's the public that has been waiting for that content to be there, right? And
Yeah,
I sometimes hear about people saying like, wow, I don't know where my life would be if I didn't have this content creator in my life, or if I didn't have this music in my life. And it's like, wow, that's crazy, because with the possibility of being able to just upload a song that you just recorded on your computer, um, and upload it, and people can see it or hear it, and
yeah.
it's, you
It's
don't have to wait for somebody to approve it or say like if it's good or not. You just upload it.
That's true, and to be fair, I mean, like, that's definitely true. You can have niche audiences or very niche, like, types of art, and at the same time, there's always gonna be, like I feel like there's, in general, gonna be some type of competitive edge to different things, like, some content is gonna be more popular than others, so then some content's gonna make more profit than others, like, from a business perspective. Like, there'll be some that are just gonna make a lot of money, and then some that'll make a little bit, and then some that may not make any money. So, that's still gonna be a thing, I think, because of limited, I guess, resources, because there's only so much of this or that in the world, and so people can't put their attention towards everything, and then people aren't gonna like everything. So, I think there's still gonna be a level of, like, competition and, like, can you be viral? Can you develop and produce something that people like? I still feel like there's an element of that involved. Like, there's an audience for almost everything. At the same time, there's gonna be different levels of audience for each thing, I feel like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
But so some of the other things to make money that I saw, other than, like, selling stock and, like, videos and advertisements and stuff like that, like, you can monetize blogs on your website, of course, if you wanted to. You can also there's like these websites and these applications to where you can design and build phone apps. You don't have to learn computer programming to do it. It's like a build thing. You just build it on the website and then you can actually make money off of it. So that's like passive income. You can earn royalties. And then there's also like a lot of websites what was see, iWriter, Living International, Listverse, Top Tens, where you can like write blogs or articles for them and they'll pay you different amounts of money for them. So that's like another one. And of course, you can set up your own website to do that too. Um, but let's see what else is there. Of course, there's writing competitions that offer to pay a lot of money too. So you could do a lot of competitions to make money off of art. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the main stuff. And also, the new thing I learned about was it's far easier to publish an ebook because it doesn't really cost any money because you don't have to like produce hard copies of it. You don't have to pay a publishing company. You can just publish an ebook for free basically on Amazon. Now, Amazon will take a percentage of the commission, but you can still earn a fair amount of money from the book by selling it on Amazon. And so I'm actually trying to get into that right now because all it takes is one book that's popular to make you a ton of money for the rest of your life. It could literally change your whole life. So I
But
figured,
are people like are they making these books like, it could be anything, it could even be like a children's book or something?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you don't need any credentials. All you gotta do is just go through Amazon, enter all the information in, agree to the terms, and they'll put it up for sale. And it really just depends on how well you can market it.
Hmm.
If it sells well, good for you. And if not, then that just means maybe it's not the right content, it's not popular, or maybe marketing needs to be stronger. So
And I'm already thinking about people, what they might be saying. They're like, "Steele, that sounds awesome. Jose, that sounds awesome. But what if like I do all this work and nothing works? You know, what if I put in so much time?
But that's what happens, you know. I mean, from my experience, that's what happens. Like I've made like over 9 films, and only one of them has ever made it into a film festival. But that never stopped me from making more films because I one because I enjoy filmmaking, and two because like I don't have any reason to give up. Like usually giving up is what leads to failure. So like the best thing I can say is learn from your mistakes. If you can find out why it wasn't successful, that's more power to you. If you can get feedback, because then you can start changing and like improving, and then maybe you have a better chance next time. But giving up
Yeah,
is not going to solve anything.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's what we were talking about earlier, right? Like being clear about what you want to achieve, and then if that aligns with a way of making money online, then go for it, right? Because I think there's at the beginning of every endeavor, like the process of experimenting with your
Yeah.
craft, right?
Right.
Like what am I going to create? What am I going to do? How does this work? How do you work the software? How do you create an app? And so there's a level of like, beginner steps, and then into like intermediate and then mastery. And so, but in the beginning steps, it's always like experimental, because you're trying to figure out like, how am I going to do this? At the same time, I'm learning how to like um just like see how, well, like what I want to express to the world, right? What's gonna be unique, what's gonna make me stand out, what's gonna, or like, and I think the factor that makes you stand out is actually not necessarily like anything out of this world. It's just who you are, right?
You're unique.
Like being comfortable, like like in who you are. Like for example, I do balloon art, I do music. I've always enjoyed animation, and I have, like I was telling you, the idea of combining all three into one and like into something I could create as one project, or
Incredible.
several projects within that. And so that's something that I'm kind of like starting to experiment with and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. But before I could actually start planning and saying like, oh well, I need to get this done and this done, before all of that, I have to almost kind of figure out how things work and how things move, and in order to start the process of actually saying like, okay, well, I have this idea now, and so now I know how to implement, or what I need to do in order to get that done,
Yeah,
because I've done all this experimenting before.
yeah, you
It's
kind
kind of like what you were saying, right? Like
yeah,
with film, like you already know in the back of your mind.
yeah, you learn from experience, you know. So, but like your question about like, what if I waste all my time? That's a good question. I think it's very valid because you could potentially waste years doing something and never make any money off it. That's possibility. I mean, hell, I've experienced similar stuff like that, you know. Um, but the thing is, maybe there's a way around it. Maybe if you get feedback before starting the project from people, like whether they think it's a good idea or not, you could do polls online. You could ask people online to vote, like whether it's a good idea or whether they think it would be successful. And then you could kind of test it out, you know, and then you have a better idea of how successful your idea might be. And then you can start investing more resources and time into it. And so at least then you're more prepared, or you can make adjustments. Like if you get negative feedback, then you can make, increase your chances by changing things to have hopefully a better outcome. So there might be a way around it in that regard. But no one can predict the future. So like some people, like there's been things I've made, like the gnomes thing, the movie I made, the mockumentary. I had no idea that was gonna be popular. I just me and my friend were just like, hey, we're just gonna do this for fun, for the heck of it. And I had no intentions of it being as popular as it became, you know.
Hmm.
Same with the dream videos I do. Like I was like, I'm just doing this for fun to pass the time and for my own personal interest because I find dreams interesting. And it ended up being the most popular videos on my channel. So it's like you can never predict what's for me, it's like I find it hard to predict what's going to be popular or not until it's out there. and then you
Yeah, until you actually do it.
yeah, until it's public, then you start getting feedback. So in some ways, it's kind of hard to predict too.
I think that's a good point that you mentioned, because one of the things I've heard people say is like, well, if you don't know if it's gonna work, just put it out. Get people's feedback, get people to like the video, or if they don't like it, then you'll get to know like what how people are responding to your content. And then after that, it doesn't mean like give up. It just means like, how can you get better, right?
Yeah,
How can
exactly.
you get better after you've received the feedback, maybe gotten some hateful comments or something like that.
Learning from the failure, definitely. Yeah, and that's the hard part. Sometimes it can knock you down, but like, as if you can find a way to get back up, however long that takes, well, then you're more likely to succeed. Your chances go from something to completely zero if you give up. Because if you don't do anything at all, it's always going to be zero chances of success because you're not doing anything. But if you get back up, then at least you have some chance, which is better than zero. So
Yeah,
I think about it.
that's
Uh,
true.
yeah, I don't know about you, but like sometimes I get so scatterbrained because I feel like there's too many ways to make money or too many things to do, and then I find myself stuck, not being able to decide what to do first. Like, should I try to like dive in deep and put all my energy and time into finding out how to turn my oil paintings into prints that I can sell online? Because that will take time to figure out, and some money even probably to do. Or do I want to spend all my time doing the short films to try to make money on YouTube? Or do I want to spend most of my time, doing this other thing like writing competitions and trying to make money off that? So it kind of becomes difficult because each one is going to take time. And if it's hard to divide up your time because I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but it's kind of get scatterbrained.
Yeah, I think I like what we were talking about. It's really good to be clear on what you want to pursue, right? Like you can say like, well, which one sounds more exciting right now?
Yeah.
Maybe, like, because I think as we have the problem of like having so many things that we want to do, I think there's people that have the opposite issue where they don't know what they want to do or
Yeah.
not, and for both sides, I think it's just being clear on like, okay, well, what voices are kind of talking to my head? Like, am I trying to listen to like how I can make the most money, or is it which one do I enjoy making the most? Um, and if it's both, like if the what you want to do also can provide the amount of money that you're seeking, then you know
Yeah, it
I
depends.
think that's one of the things that kind of like can get us sidetracked, because um it there's so many options, like you said, to like do affiliate marketing and sell other people's products, or do I just make content and um sell merchandise, right? Or do I um make music and then make money off of the streams and try to make my music as viral as possible? So I think it's just like so many ways you could go about it, and it's just like being clear on what you want, like which one you think is going to be the funnest or the most exciting. Because I think I found myself in the situation before where I'm doing something because of just solely because of the money,
Mhm.
and then after a couple of months it's just like it becomes draining because I don't feel motivated to do it anymore, because
Attached to it. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like about the money, and not about the creative process, or because I feel like I want to be known by doing this. Yeah, so we can get caught up in trying to figure out what we want, because there's so many options. So it's just being clear about that. I think it's worth your time sitting down and saying like, hey, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this, and this is the one or two things that I'm going to do.
Yeah, deciding and yeah, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I doing this because I want to make money or because I want to be happy or do something I love, you know? And sometimes that question can help guide someone to choosing what to do, what steps to take.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good identifiers of like what helps someone make a good decision, because at the end of the day, we're doing it for some reason. And so it's just defining that reason. Like, is it because this gets my creative juices going and I think I can get some really good content out of this? Or is it because I know this is going to go viral and everybody's jumping on this like um, trend? Or is it because my parents are telling me to do this, or my friends are telling me to do this, or because I don't want somebody to think of me uh, as a lazy person, or as a as just, I don't know, like just so many.
Deep psychoanalytical things there. Yeah, you do have to ask yourself though, like, right? That's definitely true. Like, am I doing this for the wrong reasons or the right reasons? Not that there's any particular wrong or right way, I guess, but I guess in a sense of like really deep introspection, like, am I doing this just to impress other people? Because when you start doing it for that reason, it can start like, I feel like it can almost harm someone because then they're, I don't know, because I feel like they won't be satisfied. They probably won't find happiness that way. If they're just trying to impress other people, I mean, it's almost like, I don't know, I could see how that could backfire, you know, and turn into like unsatisfaction.
Yeah, yeah, because at the end of the day, how do we create a life of meaning, right? That's at the end of the day, like what we're trying to all achieve, like create a life of meaning. um and so if we're creating something out of, like for example, like if the goal is just to make money and nothing else, then the meaning behind your life is just like trying to achieve things that perhaps bring you, like, to some degree, a finite pleasure, right? Like, or excitement, because the money is a good incentive, but it should just be part of it, right? Not the complete basis of why you're doing something. It should be part of it, maybe because, oh, I like to talk to people and I like interacting with people online. I think it's almost like the the second aspect, or the thing you get back for having provided certain value.
They're
So yeah, yeah, almost like a reward. Um, but I think at the center of it, I was reading a book recently, and it was saying that if we're not providing some sort of service or serving, you know, a person or whoever it is, we tend to fall into like a self-centered life, right? Um, self-centered seeking life, and if we are always self-centered, then at the end of the day, we find ourselves kind of either walking on top of people or not valuing other people, um,
yeah, downwards.
because we're only thinking of ourselves.
Yeah,
But when we start to, since we are social beings and since we are made to to be amongst others, then it's only when we serve other people that we find ourselves, you know. And so that's in a simplistic aspect, a way to create a life of meaning, right? So whether it be selling shirts online, or making YouTube videos or writing music, as long as it's serving a, 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 a group of people that enjoy that content, or feel like moved by that content, or laugh, or it's serving some sort of use to somebody else, then that's when you're doing something.
yeah, it's like the cycle, you know. I provide something you like, and you give me something I like. You know, I provide the service, and you give me the money, and both parties are happy. Not always,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's a more transactional way of seeing it, right? Instead
More of
of
a business perspective, yeah.
yeah, because sometimes like it takes a long time to get these projects up and going, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely does, yeah.
like you said, sometimes your films take, it's gonna take about a year to create it. And so it's like, well, how can I, if I know it's gonna take 1, 2, 3 years to actually make some money or get it up and going, am I willing to spend 1 to 10 years to get this going?
Yeah, it
You
depends.
know, some people
Yeah,
might say no, and that's not worth their time. And then that's a good.
because
I
they're not
think that's a good question to ask yourself. Like, is it worth spending 3 years of my life? If nothing comes out of it, and I spend 3 years of my life trying to pursue this, and nothing happens, would I be okay with that?
that's how some people can feel, and then they don't pursue it anymore. But some people are so passionate about it that it doesn't matter to them. Like they just do it because they love it. And I feel like that's where I'm at. Like, you know what I mean? Like with YouTube, like it's taken over 10 years to build the subscriber counts. And I, part of that was in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, it'd be so cool if I could, break into that mainstream kind of popularity, I guess, which is still something in the back of my mind. I think it'd be awesome and great. But I don't feel like more deeper than that. I don't think that's what was driving me. I feel like I would have stopped a long time ago if that was the only reason. I feel like what's
Yeah,
been driving me is just because I get some type of satisfaction or some type of happiness or something like that from making just the videos and just getting people's reactions and stuff, like the comments. Like whenever I see a new comment, like, oh man, it lights me up almost. Like it gets me excited and then it motivates me to want to make another one. And so for some reason, there's some type of enjoyment out of showing people something that I've created in a video or whatever it is, and then just getting the reaction. Like there's some type of enjoyment out of it. So I don't know, just that alone, is enough sometimes.
yeah, yeah. That's something that motivates me too, right? Like seeing the comments, seeing people interact, seeing people enjoy what you're creating or what you're talking about. And like we were saying, like there's a public for everyone. Everybody can do this and find a niche or find a group of people that might enjoy it. And if there's no people flooding to your channel at
Yeah.
first, like then it's just because it takes time. And I think a lot of people don't like to hear that. And even I struggle with the fact of patience
Yeah.
because we live in a world of like instantaneous reward
Yeah.
that we do a little bit of work and we get compensated for the little bit of work we did. And
Yeah.
so with that said, I think it just takes time, and for some people, it might be a year, some might be 10 years, some might be 20 years.
True. Yeah.
But if it takes that long to pursue it,
Yeah.
and you get to where you want to be, isn't it worth it?
Yeah. And also definitely, and for me also, like, yeah, I feel like if you love it enough, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're wasting time. Yeah, like that's how I
Yeah,
feel about filmmaking for sure, 100%. Like I never feel like I'm wasting my time on it. Every second of it, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating at times. Filmmaking is hard sometimes, stressful even. But like, I don't know, when I think back, when I just think about it and doing it, it's every second is enjoyable to some degree. Even the challenge. It's just fun. That's why I keep doing. Like there's certain things in life like that are like that for some people. And some people are still trying to figure it out, like you said. Um, there's two other things I really wanted to. The one thing I heard about was people can create their own online course, and some people have done this, right? About something that you're really good at or something that you know. Like for you, it could be music. For me, it could be like how to make movies. And then once you create it, it takes a lot of hours to create that stuff, right? Because you got to make videos, you got to make sure you got good microphones, you got to have the content look professional, scripted, or however you do it, right? And then sections, so like multiple videos. And then once you have it set up online, it's like good to go. It's automatic payment and it automatically unlocks the online courses. Like I've seen some people sell online courses on how to do lucid dreaming. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's something for almost everything, and you don't have to have a license or certification or college degree to do that. Anyone can do it. And then some people are talking about making like literally like thousands of dollars a month off of online courses, and that they continue to make that much. And it's so wild, you know? Like, and the other thing was, I think I told you, maybe I mentioned, was I think it's called Fiverr or Friver.
Oh, Fiverr.
Mm. Fiverr? Yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
online freelance website where anyone can sell freelance services for just about, they can decide how much money to charge. They can do packages that breaks down different costs. And I've seen people sell everything from like, I'll do a custom voiceover for you for like 20 bucks to like, I'll proofread your writing for like, I don't know, $50 to like video work, writing, photography, voice, acting, almost anything. So it's like that's just another example. Like, it's so cool. Like you can basically do freelance online. You know, you don't have to go like chase it down anymore. You can just publish it, you know. Now you have to have like
Um,
a employer identification number because now they're doing the tax forms and stuff. But I actually found out it wasn't that hard to do. All you gotta do is go on the IRS website, put in your information, and they'll give you an employer identification number just like that. And
yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
did that.
I've done that before for the balloon business.
I thought it'd be a lot harder, but no. And then before you know
Yeah.
it,
And
so
it's free to get
that's
the
free.
number.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I just wanted to, I didn't want
Yeah.
to those two. Those are two other ways to like make money too. And again, you know, you got to research it and figure out if it's worth it. What you said about like, is it worth it? You know, with time, there is online survey work, you know, that pays you like a couple cents per survey. And that's the one thing I can think about that could waste time, you know, because think about it, if you're only making like $1 an hour off of doing all these surveys, you know, that's like way less than minimum wage, you know. So it's like you might as well just, you know, get a minimum wage job at that point, right? But
Yeah.
I've done like I've been doing some online surveys like for the past couple weeks and I made like 14 bucks, but it takes like a few hours out of the day to make that much. So kind of weighed the pros and cons, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw this
Yeah,
over.
there's even like websites where, you know, you can listen to a song, and for every song that you listen to, you get paid for it.
Oh, really?
I don't know how much it pays, but I saw that that was a thing,
Huh.
and it's like for artists who want their music to be either heard, or they're trying to experiment with music to see if it's like going to be good enough for the radio or good enough to release. So they have like a small beta groups that can test the music and see how the listener enjoyed it, or what the listener thought about. So
Oh,
it's like
that
you
actually,
get feedback.
yeah,
So,
does make sense.
but different stuff like that that I
There's
think
also
is definitely possible.
like you, and maybe you've heard about like plasma. Like people can sell their plasma for like 300 bucks and make like 1,000 bucks a month or something. So, and that's like literally like free. That's easy. I mean, all you gotta do is sit in a chair for like 2 hours or something. So I mean, there are easy ways to make money. It's just, do you have time? Are you interested in it? Do you feel like it's worth it? And does the money you get paid, is it worth the efforts? I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah, and we won't, because we look at these exorbitant amounts of money that people are making, you know, like um, and it's, you know, it's crazy to think, you know, like it's exciting to think that it is possible to essentially make a lot of money, um, in just like, and then forever, you know, like
Yeah, for the
it's
royalties.
almost like royalties, like of music, you know, like YouTube videos are like royalties, you know, you keep getting paid for that same evergreen content that you made a couple years ago, and people still can go back and watch it,
Yeah.
um, and you can still make money off of it. You know, I'm thinking of like the big YouTube videos that were created, you know, 13 years ago, and people are still like, and it has like millions of views.
I mean, yeah, CDs still get sold by famous artists, you know? Like George Lucas still makes money off of Star Wars, even though he's not made a movie in like over 10 years, right? Because he still makes money off the toys, all the merchandise, you know? So famous celebrities, same thing. Like they're if they did played a famous character, they can still make money off of the action figures that get sold with their likeness. So I mean, like that's what's so wild. All it takes is one thing. And I know we've talked about this before, like with the Harry Potter books, but all it takes is like one famous thing, and then once it's out there, you're set for life. Um,
And
and here's the thing.
do you think the cost of being famous is worth it? You know, because you see all the celebrities sometimes like being bombarded by paparazzi or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they don't get to go back to a normal life after that. They can't just go to
Yeah,
McDonald's anymore, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because my brother was telling me like a musician lifestyle is not as easy as it seems. Like you gotta drive, like you might be up, staying up 24 hours a day, like not getting any sleep, doing all these tours, like it's exhausting, that you hardly get any rest. Interview after interview, you know, like it could be exhausting after a while. Um, but here's the thing, like I know we talked about like the value of money, like how important is money? Does money bring happiness? And that's one thing, right? But I also see money off of these side gigs and passive income. I can also see it as a great opportunity to get money to fund your business. So like let's say I wanted to start a film company, but I don't have money to do it, or I want to make a movie, but I don't have money to make the movie I want. But if I do all this side passive income stuff, well then I can finally achieve my dream of starting my business or doing this thing that I've always wanted to do, like a big art project or a movie project. So like money does have a purpose, I think, to serve in that regard so that you can produce better content or like what's in your mind, you know? Because there's a lot of
yeah,
things in my mind that I can't make because I don't have enough money to do it. So
yeah. And that's actually a really good point, man. Because I as I look into doing these projects and stuff, like the reason why I can sit down on a Friday morning and record this podcast is because I have my balloon art business that keeps it floating. Keeps me with keeps me helps me keep my bills getting paid. And so it allows me to have Monday through Friday pretty much available for other creative projects or
yeah,
to see family, run errands, stuff
exactly.
like that.
Money can do that. And imagine this, like imagine if you made enough money to where you never had to work an active job again, like a any job because you have so much passive income. Well, then you could use that time to spend time with your family, you know, or just do art. You know, you could just do art without even worrying about money. So, I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things I think. Like, I feel like, and it's fair, you know, we can get caught up in saying, like, oh, money won't bring you happiness. And I think I'm not saying that's not true. You know, you can have all the money in the world and still be depressed. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, there's also the possibility that if let's say you never had to worry about money ever again, how would that change your life? You know, would you spend more time with your family? Would you focus on other things in life? Would you do more art projects? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
have more
And
time.
I think that question actually it's really interesting because it's a matter of how you think about it now, not when you have the money. Because there's people that end up having more money and they still feel like they don't have enough.
Yeah,
So that question should be answered now, like in the sense of like, do I feel like I make enough right now? Just right now. Like whatever I'm doing, do I feel like I'm making enough right now? Or do I feel like I'm lacking money? Do I how do I feel right now? And I think
mindset.
perhaps there's people that, you know, might be hearing that and say like, well, Jose, like I feel like I can't meet my bills. Like I can't get started on projects because I'm having to pay all these bills and I have to be working 3 jobs and I don't have time to create. I have kids, I have responsibilities. And so that's all understandable. But like, like even with that, I think there's ways that you can start solving those problems by sitting down for a couple minutes and planning, right?
Right.
I think I saw a video that said a minute of planning saves 10 minutes of execution. So so if you sit down to plan like your life and you say like, well, right now I'm working 3 jobs. It's paycheck to paycheck. Um, I sit down and I start thinking like, well, where can I save, or perhaps where can I move to pay less, right? And being humble enough to just be able to make those moves, make those decisions, and not
Yeah, it's true.
have the glamorous life, perhaps that we're trying to showcase, maybe of family members, or perhaps we are like struggling a lot, medical bills or stuff like that. Um, but it's just really saying like, hey, what can I do? Like, there's always a way to solve things, and there's always a way to get out of things. It's just sitting down and not being overwhelmed and like,
Everything that you're saying, everything that you just said is reminding me so much of that Dave Ramsey book that I'm reading about money makeover. And he talks about similar things, how like these people can escape their financial problems. Like a lot of people have been able to because they live like Dave Ramsey's motto in that book is live like no one else now so they can live like no one else later. So basically like people will like downsize their house so their house payment is cheaper, and or they'll like sell their car and trade in for a lower payment car, and then they'll be able to live low for like a few years and then pay off all of their debt, and then once all the debt is gone, that is when wealth starts building. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned from this book. And it makes so much sense. Because when you think about it, what drains our money? Bills and debt. And debt usually tends to drain most of our money. Maybe not in every case. But if you think about it, if you have no debt, if you don't owe money to anyone, and the only thing you have to pay is utilities and if you have your house paid off, you have your car paid off, all you're paying for is like maybe insurance and utilities. Well, that's not that much money. I mean, it's still a fair amount of money, but compared to having debt on top of that, man, like I can see how you can build wealth from that because all the rest of your money is just going into savings and you deciding whether to spend the money or save it, basically. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's another component like that's kind of plays into that idea. Like, of escaping debt, of escaping financial problems. I'm not saying in every case, but it seems to make sense though. Like if you don't have any debt, then you don't have to spend as much money, so then you save more money, you know? Like I don't know, man. Like what do you think? Like live low and then live low to save more money now so you'll have more in the future.
well, it depends on how you use that money, you know, because I think there's still like, even if you save up, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do with that money that you save, or what are you gonna do? Are you gonna invest it? Are you gonna make a company? What are you gonna do with that money? Because it's not just gonna all of a sudden turn into $1 million if it just sits at the bank. Like, yes, you can save up
If
money,
you could
but
have a lot of money, like and don't spend any money, then maybe. It depends on your job though for sure. Like how
yeah, exactly.
but yeah, you can
Because if I'm
invest.
working minimum wage and I'm doing, like that model, well, am I doing anything else to essentially like grow that money, or am I investing it somewhere? Because it's not just gonna automatically blow up, you know?
No, that's true. It's not gonna automatically turn to $1 million, but you will end up having more money than if you had a lot of debt that you were trying to. Because what kills people
Yeah.
with debt is the interest rate. That's what kills people. If they would just pay it off sooner, then you would save so much more money. That's what hurts people is that interest rate. And so that's what he means. Like he said, don't buy anything that you have to owe money to because like paying cash, like yeah, that sort of stuff. But yeah, and then investing. When you get to a good spot, then you start investing the money, and then that's like you said when it starts growing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios though, like for sure.
Yeah.
It's like minimum
Yeah,
wage.
those are interesting thoughts. I mean, even like I've thought about this too, like just because my parents have like property, and I'm like, well, I could. It's not property like big, but it's like almost an acre, and you can fit in like three mobile homes inside of the backyard. And so I was thinking, like, well, what if I just buy three of them, like not cash, like I finance them all, but I buy them, I put them back here. I have people living there. They're paying the rent. So basically, out of the payment that they give me, I'm using part of it to pay the house, and then the other part I'm using it to just save up, just save it up for like later or something,
Yeah,
or for whenever like somebody needs to fix something from the house, I can just use it from there instead of
that's a
from
smart.
my own pocket.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I've heard some people talk about that, like how renting out a house is a faster way to pay it off. Yeah, because like you said, it's like a feedback loop, you know,
Yeah,
pays itself off kind of. Yeah.
yeah,
But like I like that mentality though of like trying to be completely debt free because like I can see how interest rates and debt can drain your finances and just keep you from saving money basically. Because if you only have to worry about utilities and that's it, I mean that's and groceries, that's not really to me that's not that much. If you have a decent job, like that's so much more money that's going to savings. If you're not spending, of course, but yeah, it depends, man. Yeah.
dang. Yeah, good things, good things. Any last thoughts to wrap up the talk?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that's about all I can really think of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would say the same. Thank you everyone for watching this podcast. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that you enjoyed everything we talked about today. If there was anything in particular that you thought was interesting, or you might want some further clarification, please let us know. And feel free to check out our other content as well that we have on our podcast. Um, and as always, we appreciate all the likes that you give us. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, we will see you soon. Take care.